I came across something that I think is worthwhile sharing. We'll get to the details, maybe flesh this out in a moment again, but you can really have confidence in the political class going into next year's presidential election after hearing this.
I have an ample supply of underwear.
Yes, we'll tell you a little bit more about that in just a moment. But first, I'm going to tell you about Tint Lady. Have you noticed any fading of your floors, your furniture, your pictures in your home, cabinetry, etc.? It may be the result of too much UV light coming into your home. UV light can damage these things over time. Have you ever thought about getting some window tints for your home or your office or even your automobile? Because Tint Lady will come out and do a free estimate. And likely in the long run, if you have window tints, you'll protect all of those things in the home. In the hot summertime, you'll also keep the heat down a little bit in your home, and that means your air conditioner won't work quite so fast, or quite so much, maybe is a better way to put that. And that'll save you money. So you'll pay for these window tints in a very short while. You're basically paying yourself by having them installed. The free estimate, you can give them a telephone call, and they'll come out and do that free estimate, 736-8469, or go online at tintladyidaho.com. Now, they've been in business nearly 25 years, locally owned and operated, 1887 Highland Avenue East in Twin Falls, open Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m., Saturday by appointment only, closed Sundays, and remember, don't squint, get tint. Bernie Sanders. Here's a man, I was just thinking about this morning, Bernie Sanders, the poll numbers that he has and the volume of money that he raised in the last quarter. Bernie Sanders, I hate to say this guy, people have been saying, maybe Donald Trump could really be president. I'm starting to fear that perhaps Bernie Sanders could actually get elected president of the United States. And I think a lot of people out there are listening to the guy and they're thinking, you know what? He is talking about a free lunch. Why not?
I have an ample supply of underwear.
Yes, he does. Actually, we should be a little bit more honest about what he's talking about there. Sanders being interviewed by some reporters over the weekend, and he said he is going to have some great staying power. His campaign isn't going away anytime soon.
Last week, I bought my second pair of underwear.
Yeah!
That's a joke. Please don't write it down. It was a joke. Joke. I have an ample supply of underwear.
Yes, he does.
I have an ample supply of underwear.
It's good to know that your candidate out there is not going to have any problems and will be wearing clean underwear, just in case there's a crack up in the campaign somewhere. He has raised in one quarter about $25 million. The only person who raised more than Sanders in this last quarter was Hillary Clinton. Her money came primarily from Wall Street big shots, despite the fact that she goes around saying she's a candidate for the little guy. And come on, no one really believes that in the right mind. Not even flaming liberals. They've come to look at that with a jaundiced eyes, if you will. Although sometimes you look at their eyes and you realize, well, they're just plain evil. But no, in this case, jaundiced eyes. Sanders, on the other hand, says that his money is coming from an entirely different source.
We have received, at this point in time, over 650,000 individual contributions.
650,000 individual contributions adding up to about $25 million, which is a pretty impressive haul. And you wonder where that money's coming from, but apparently it's a lot of people, maybe the old line unionized workers and some other folks out there who are just getting together and saying, I'm going to send him, $50. And after a while, 650,000 people doing that, that's an amount of money that really, really adds up. The reason I think Sanders, and I say this with a lot of, how should we put it, fear, could end up becoming the next president of the United States is because a lot of people out there, they have what you call class envy, or they feel somebody else is to blame all the time, perhaps because they don't like to get up in the morning and go to work. He made an appearance on Bill Maher's program over the weekend on HBO, and Maher said to him, come on, we already have a socialist country, and Sanders wanted to argue with him about it.
We want to deal with the grotesque level of income and wealth inequality in America. Very few people think it is acceptable or moral that the top 0.1% owns almost as much wealth as the bottom 90%. That we have seen a proliferate.
But see, Bernie, you always say that, and I think even the Republicans are not for income inequality. They hear that, but it doesn't compute that that's going to be solved by socialism. Socialism is the programs they already like. They like Social Security. That's socialism.
But here's-
They like Medicare. They like the VA. They
That's
like
right.
the military.
No, that's exactly right.
It's already a socialist
But
country.
what we have to, no, it's not a socialist country.
It's quasi.
Quasi. There are some socialist programs. But what we have got to do is remind fellow Americans that every other major country on earth guarantees health care to all people as a right, and they do it more cost effectively than we do.
So we talk about all these things that people say is now a right, and obviously Mars' audience is a little more left than the general public in this country. Well, all of these things that were never enumerated as rights in our Constitution are suddenly rights now. The fact of the matter is, though, these things they're talking about actually cost money. Your freedom of speech generally doesn't cost you anything. You know, your liberties, for instance, religious freedom, doesn't cost you anything. And so when you think about that for a moment, I don't know. It seems to me that these people, everything they're talking about, which they call a right, has a big price tag. And the day may come when you can't afford it any longer. You know, the United States is not the same country it was just 15, 20 years ago when it comes to a healthy economy. And that part, these people don't have any long-term plan on how all of these rights, these new rights, are going to be paid for. There's a writer named Judd Gregg, former governor of New Hampshire and U.S. Senator, writing today at The Hill, and he says the name progressive means people who don't even, the old liberals, they think the old liberals are crazy and they want to go even farther left. He said one such element involves developing a culture where class identity and the envy that it engenders is the driver of policy. We are not one country in this view. They see a country divided and one that needs to be further divided. Randy Staples from Idaho Weekly Briefing joining us in just a moment. Bill Colley with you on Top Story this morning on News Radio 1310, KLIX and NewsRadio1310.com.